Alright, I have a little bit of time, so let's get into some of these video questions, shall we?
Hey Frater, I am a professional TV and film actor, and I have some questions for you about the magical implications of being an actor, as well as the magical effect of watching movies. So, let's talk about a little Hollywood magic, shall we? Question number 1. If I'm playing a negative character, I have to embody negative qualities. I have to use the will and step into that negative role. I have to mix my thought, feelings, and actions together to become that negative persona. And so, if I'm playing a negative role like that, what can I do to make sure that playing such a negative role doesn't have a negative impact on my subconscious mind, thereby manifesting negative things into reality? Should I just avoid playing negative characters altogether? Or does it not really matter what kind of roles I play? Because when I'm acting, I'm not in a tranced out state of mind like I would be when practicing magic. And so because I'm not in a trance when acting, my conscious mind is fully awake and able to filter out whatever I'm doing and saying while I'm embodying the role that I'm playing. But on the other hand, I meditate a lot, and I'm a magical practitioner, which means the cross-communication between my conscious and subconscious mind is that much stronger than actors who are not practicing magic. So does that mean I, as a magician, need to be that much more careful about what roles I play as an actor? And whether I'm in a trance or not, all actors are using force plus form. They're all mixing thought, emotion, and action together, and they're believing that whatever they're doing is happening in the now. And so, whether someone's practicing magic or not, all actors are practicing magic. When you go to an acting class, it's magic class. They're teaching you all of the skills that a magician learns, but they're just not telling you that it has a very potent magical effect. There's a very well-respected acting teacher named Ivana Chubbuck, and she wrote a book called The Power of the Actor. But apparently Ivana Chubbuck doesn't really understand the true power of the actor, because if she did, she wouldn't have written half the stuff that's in her book. She tells her readers how to act as if they are mourning the loss of a loved one. And she instructs them to vividly visualize a loved one dead in a coffin at their funeral, and then get emotionally immersed in that visualization, and then go act out the scene. And when I read that, I thought, well, that can't be good, because now you have actors everywhere using very potent magical techniques, not knowing what the implications are. And speaking of trance, that leads me to the next question, which is, while the actor may not be in a trance, their audience certainly is in a trance. You have millions of people sitting in movie theaters and in front of TV sets watching the same images at the same time, images being the language of the subconscious. They're getting emotionally involved in those images, while the music synchronizes their emotional state. So, is the tranced out audience more likely to be magically affected by watching the actor than the actor himself will ever be by actually embodying the role? And what magical effect might it have on the actor to have millions of tranced out people staring at you as the focal point of this mass visualization session that we call the movies? And what about tabloids and TMZ? where you have a tabloid that puts out a piece of negative information about a celebrity, and then you have millions of people thinking negative things about that person, saying negative things about them, sending bad vibrations their way. To me, that sounds like millions of people collectively casting a curse on that celebrity. So what magical implications are there in a situation like that? And what can a person do if they're in that situation to protect themselves from negativity on such a mass scale? Well, thank you very much for answering my questions, Frater. I love your videos. I love your paid programs. And I look forward to everything you put out. So keep on doing your thing.
These are all great questions, and I do appreciate you sending them in. I can tell that you put a lot of thought into them. To get to the answers, we should first look at the qualities of the subconscious itself. 1, the subconscious cannot tell the difference between what's real and what's imagined. This is why visualization is so important in magic. And you're intelligent enough to know that visualizing someone that you care about dying is probably not a good thing. If you need to reach an emotional state of sadness, it's far better to visualize someone you cared about that has already passed on. I can still get pretty sad if I think about my pet who had died last year. Using an emotional trigger that has already occurred doesn't have the same danger to it. The subconscious not being able to tell the difference between what's real and what's imagined is key to the answers you seek. 2, the subconscious does not have the ability to reject. It will accept everything that's put into it. For those who understand this, it is a blessing, and for those who don't, it is a curse. The subconscious will take in everything. Only the conscious mind acts as a filter. So, knowing these qualities of the subconscious, we can easily reach the conclusion that, yes, absolutely, it's going to have an effect, both as an audience member and as an actor. Television and movies absolutely have an effect upon the viewer. And if it didn't, companies wouldn't be spending a ton of money on commercials where they have 30 seconds to convince you to buy something. They do it because it works. And we'll get a little bit more into that when we get to the sign of Gemini. There's also subliminal imagery, messages, NLP, and of course what the actors on TV are doing. Images, symbolism. It can be argued that nothing has had more influence on our society and culture in such a short period of time as television and film. Hollywood itself is reputed to have been named after a magic wand, casting a spell over the masses. Whether or not that's true, I didn't name it, so that would be hearsay, but I wouldn't doubt it. In general, the less TV and movies you watch, the better off you're going to be. It's an example of others doing magic for you, not necessarily for your benefit. As an actor taking on roles, of course it's going to have a certain effect upon you. We know that Hollywood isn't just a place of glamour, but it's also a place of falling stars. The higher the star, the further the fall. We see a lot of people crash and burn and some very obvious train wrecks. Whether or not this is because they just couldn't handle the fame, as a lot of child actors can't, and grow up having problems, or in the roles that they play, would take a case-by-case study. So to what extent it will affect you is unknown. Is it going to affect you any more than the role that you continuously play in your personal everyday life? Because the subconscious never sleeps. It's continuously absorbing and manifesting things into your life. And there's no role that's going to manifest more than the personal identity that you already have. You're doing magic whether you know it or not. The difference is in whether you're purposely doing it or not. When you have a part in a film or television production, you're not stepping into a sacred circle. You're not calling the quarters. Your conscious mind is more active, as you said, as you're reciting your lines that you have memorized. And because your conscious mind is engaged, it will filter out a lot of that. But there is always risk, and you may choose not to take on certain negative roles, although they're usually the most interesting and fun to play. And young actors don't always get their pick of scripts. They have to take what they can get. But you can always do magic to get more opportunities for positive roles if you so choose. I would recommend doing purposeful magic in your temple or other sacred space. After a while, it gets to be a part of you, as a trigger signifying that you are entering sacred space to do some magical work for manifestation. And the subconscious will pick up on that. That in itself can help protect you somewhat. Other than that, as long as you're keeping up with your daily banishings and regular protection magic, you should be fine. Protection magic is essentially the same as any other form, such as money magic, although you're usually calling on someone to protect you. You can call upon the Archangel Michael, you can call upon Jupiter, you can even call upon your ancestors. Give to them an offering of gratitude, such as incense, and this will go a long way to help protect you. And if something does happen to negatively manifest, whether it's a result of your acting or not, you are still better equipped than most to handle it, because you can always do magic to counter that, so long as you're not using blood magic, which I covered in the fire and water program. So yeah, I wouldn't really do anything too differently. You are bright enough to know not to visualize loved ones dying as an emotional trigger source. As long as you're catching on to the little things like that, I think you'll be alright. You can also banish, deny, and reject that role after you have performed it, when it's all said and done. And then follow it up with visualizing what you really want and acting that out in your sacred space. So, some general protection magic along with some countering of any negative roles that you play, along with some magic to further your career, would be my advice. I sincerely wish you the best, and thank you for sending in your video questions.
Hey, Frater Xavier, quick question for you. I've purchased all of your programs and everything, and I've studied them numerous times. And I have a question about fire magic, or candle magic, I guess I would say. So, as far as I understand, the wax of the candle is impressionable, and it holds the charge, the intention that you put into it, and then the fire acts as like a gateway. So in a way, like a candle almost seems like, it's like a sustained thought, so it's like a tool that allows you to focus on one thing, or allows the energy to be focused on one thing without you having to sit there and visualize it for 3 hours or whatever, however long the candle burns. I don't know if that's accurate or not. And the other part of that question would be, when you burn the candle, is it releasing energies into the room, or is it releasing energies just into the astral, or both? Or, I mean, what is actually happening when you burn a charged candle for a purpose? Thanks.
Alright, again we're going to answer this by taking a look at some of the qualities of the subconscious mind. Number 3, the primary language of the subconscious is images and symbolism. Therefore, in magic, we make everything as symbolic as possible. Number 4, the subconscious mind adheres to universal law. So when we charge our candle, we are essentially creating a symbolic representation of our will. And if you have the Words of Power program, you can go back and look at the symbol for the will and see how it matches up to your candle. So we have created a symbolic representation of our will and our intent by charging our candle. As the candle burns, it is also symbolically represented by the four elements, air, fire, water, and earth, that make up all physical manifestations. The solid candle representing earth, the liquid wax running off symbolizing water, the flame obviously representing fire, and if you put your hand above that flame, you will feel the hot air. So we have our will, our intent, and the four elements all represented in our candle. Now, universal law. The universe abhors a vacuum and will do everything it can to fill that void. As we burn the candle, we're creating a vacuum because it symbolically represents our will and our intent. And the subconscious mind, because it follows universal law, will create a replacement to fill that void. Yes, the energy is both released in the room and in the astral, but so is the symbolism. So is our intent by the burning of the candle. This is a relatively simple way of explaining and understanding it, but that's pretty much what's occurring. The power of magic is in effective communication with the subconscious mind, getting instructions into our subconscious. And the most effective way of doing this is through symbolism. And candle magic is no different in this regard. And I appreciate the question. Thank you.
So, hello, Frater Xavier. I am a cult fan. I am also known as Nathan Miller Foster. You can bleep that out or it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I guess the point is, because we want to make this quick, my question for you is, for someone who gets very caught in negative cycles of thought and finds it extremely hard to do banishing of negativity from others, or to not take things on into one's own personality as if it were their fault. I find a lot of use in saying it's not your fault. And last night I was thinking of something to the effect of, it's not about them, it's about me. And then I kept repeating Solve et Coagula because I was imagining the trauma that it felt like that I was going through, because again, I take things, I'm sensitive, heart on the sleeve thing. I thought of how it's not about that other individual. Obviously, there was something that went down that wasn't so happy for me. And I thought I was all dealing with it well, but a lot of acid coming from the other side, and I don't deal well with that. In fact, I was looking up my chart here. It says I'm a Pisces rising like you, which is totally awesome, and I watch Life of Pi. Let me continue this forward, because I'm getting a lot out of moving the ball forward as well. So my question is, what's something that someone who is very sensitive and has a hard time, like, you could even say their life has been defined by the traumatic things that they've allowed to beat them down into a place of almost submission, when they are infinitely more powerful, as if it's an inversion of who they are, as if the real habits that you talk about, it's obviously real what you're talking about. Everything is that you're talking about. And that's why I'm making this video. I really appreciated George's question, and I hope the best to him. He seems like a good dude, and I think he'll get his stuff straight, but it's not about anyone else. It's about me. And I realize the gratitude factor is also part of it. Am I just asking a question because I haven't done enough work yet and the answers are truly right in front of me? It could be that. I truly do thank you from the most that I can right now at the current stage that I'm at for what you have given me so far. And maybe one day you'll take me under your wing. I would be more than ready by the time that you would accept me. I am going to make this a daily part of my practice. I've already written down 2 days in a row. I won't show you. I have them hidden in my Bible. But I've written down a list of 5 things, so I'm starting to do that you mentioned in Words of Power. And actually, I am a cult fan, the one who tweets at you probably more than more than a lot right now. But So I just want to thank you for what you've given me. And again, if my question wasn't clear, because I'll, go back and see, like, dude, did you even ask your question? I guess how can I strengthen? And I want to ask this for anyone else too, because I'm not the only sensitive person out there, and I'm not the kind who gets sensitive and then tries to destroy another person. I'm the kind. I believe that my Venus is in Libra and my Mars is in Scorpio. Scorpio. I want to say Scorpio. And also my Saturn is in Scorpio too. And I just had something happen in Saturn that I think I'm getting a severe kick in the pants, and I think last night was another one because I could get very hurt by that, or I could turn around and use it to increase my power. No one gets to see me with my glasses though, and I'm gonna wrap this up in like 35 seconds. So we're blocking the camera because I'm being self-conscious about my glasses for no reason whatsoever. And you should read into what I'm doing because I'm being a nutter about this, aren't I? Well, here's the point. I gotta stop that kind of. So I banished that thought. My rising sign is Pisces. The sun's Libra, moon's Leo. But here's the point: Mercury's in Virgo. That's driving me nuts. But Venus in Mars, Libra and Sagittarius. So okay, that's what I wanted to find. So, but Saturn, Scorpio. But Sagittarius from Mars. So I guess in giving what I just threw at you like that, would you maybe be able to provide some guidance on how I can strengthen my resolve, in that I can be more strong when it comes to things that feel harmful to me, I guess. And you heard my Venus and Mars, so whatever that means for purpose too, if you can kick that in there, that would be great. I'm learning from this thing last night even that I need to not expect so much of other people that I don't deserve from them in a way, but I definitely do deserve to be treated in my own heart, I deserve to be treated well and not abusively. And that's another thing for me because I can get into situations where I settle for less. And maybe it's just best that you just push these people out of your life and they don't deserve your time, even if, they didn't owe you anything in the first place after hurting you. So, I mean. Well, anyways, I meander now, and I said 35 seconds, and you've given me enough time already. Thank you. And maybe one day, so mote it be, we will work together, and that would be excellent. I wish you the best, and my heart goes out to your girlfriend's friends, family. I have taken action on that. I felt that it's not always great to advertise such things. Oh gosh, but the idea is that I just wanted to let you know that you're impacting me in several ways, and one of the ways that I'm getting over feeling hurt is that I'm doing nice things for other people, and I feel like if I say that, that's going to just positively spiral upwards because others will also follow. Do as you will to see in the world, kind of like the Camus thing. I digress. This is it. Thank you, and peace be with you always.
Well, you certainly are a Pisces rising, that's for sure, because that, my friend, was all over the place. But it serves as a great example of that Piscean energy and thought process. Before you're finished with one thought, you're immediately pulled in another direction onto something else, and then you're pulled in another direction, and then on and on it goes. So right away, grounding exercises are going to be beneficial to you. Grounding and learning to finish one thing before beginning another, including your thoughts. Because most people aren't even going to have the patience to have a conversation with you. There's 3 signs that have a really bad reputation. One of them is Pisces, for being too wishy-washy, pulled in different directions. Another is Capricorn, for being too cold and calculated. And the other is Scorpio, for collecting dirt on everyone and then trying to reveal it. Out of the 3, Scorpio actually likes its bad reputation. Now, I'm telling you this because if you're getting a lot of flack from people, it may have something to do with being all over the place. I can't say for sure, but I'm going off of first impressions. Most people simply wouldn't be able to keep up with that without wearing them down. So you definitely want to work on grounding, such as the middle pillar ritual, and seeing your thoughts through to the end. before changing directions. Now, if you want more love and respect, you're going to have to not only love and respect others, but also yourself. The person who doesn't respect themselves will not be respected by others. The person who doesn't love themselves will not be loved by others. You have to realize that you are a king, and that this world is your kingdom, to rule as you see fit. The Sephiroth of Malkuth, which we associate with the physical realm, actually means the kingdom. And you are ruling your kingdom through your subconscious mind, in whatever is programmed in there. Again, if you stick with the exercises and the curriculum, you will begin to see results. Some more rapidly than others, others being more gradual. But you will get results. Now, having a Pisces ascendant, you are going to have to learn to clear your energy, and do this regularly. The sign of Pisces will absorb the energy off of others. This is your sensitivity that you were speaking of. And I sent you instructions on how to do that in the other video you had sent me. You can also carry a piece of fluorite with you, which will help absorb the energy into the stone instead of you absorbing it from others. This is something that I had gotten for myself from our good friend Uncle Birch at the Sacred Grove, who, by the way, had moved recently but is now back in operation with his new web store. So if you need to get a piece of fluorite, I'm certain he can help you out with that. And really, aside from that, you already have all the answers. You've obviously listened to all the material, and like our good friend George, you just simply need to start putting it into practice. It works. I was once all over the place too. And even today I can easily digress into side topics and be pulled in different directions at times. But I'm nowhere near how I used to be. Given the properties and qualities of the subconscious that I have given it just alone in this video, is essentially handing you the keys to anything that you want in life. This is why Bob Proctor will say things like, if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. Because he knows that if you get that image and that symbolism into the subconscious mind as an instruction, it will do the heavy lifting for you. Those instructions can be more love, more respect, protection from negative influences, etc. But you'll need to do the work, and you'll need to ground yourself. And I do appreciate you sending in your video question. Thank you. I want to remind everyone that all of my programs are on sale until the end of the year, in case I do not get a chance to get back on before then. And I also occasionally post on Twitter if you want to follow me over there. I want to take this time now to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Take care.